Creating virtual machines, installing Hyper-V. Creating virtual machine is easy, and what we can do, we can install Hyper-V in our server 2016, and then we can create virtual machines into it. And for creating virtual machine, we can do that by server Hyper-V manager, and even we can do that by server PowerShell also. So we have created the virtual machine last time, we have installed it. Now what are the new features we have here with this Hyper-V server Hyper-V in server 2016? We have the hot add feature, hot adding feature in Hyper-V. Now hot adding requires generation 2 virtual machine first. So when we are creating the virtual machine, so we have to decide the generation, and if we selected the generation 2, then only we can do this hot adding option. We can use this hot adding feature. And what hot adding feature we can do for memory, that means for RAM, what we can do, we can add memory to a virtual machine with a static memory while they are running. So we can add the memory, static memory, not a dynamic memory. If the memory is dynamic, then we can't do that. But it is static, then we can do this. Then also while the machine is running, you don't have to shut down the system. Then the network adapters, we can add or remove the network adapters to virtual machine while they are running. Now here memory we can only add, for removing it we have to shut down the system. But a network adapter we can add and remove also. So this is our server, and under this we have the Hyper-V manager. And under the Hyper-V manager we have this server 1, this is our machine, and in that we have created this virtual machine, and now it is running and it has been installed completely. We can see here in the screenshot, and for more complete the finish the installation, we can go to connect to see the interface so that we can configure it. It is connecting, and this is what server 2012 we have installed it here, server 2016 here, and we can finish the installation. It is asking the password for the administrator, so we will provide the password and finish the installation. It is starting now, and now it is ready. Now it is saying press Alt Control Delete to unlock the machine, but remember this Alt Control Delete, if you press, then it will go for the real machine. It will go for the real machine. For this virtual machine, you have to press Alt Control Delete. You have to press Alt Control End button. Now we can see here we have it has given here a directly option to press Alt Control Delete. So instead of pressing the key directly in your keyboard, you should use this option here. It will directly send the signal of Alt Control Delete to this virtual machine without pressing the key. It is a good idea to use this instead of directly pressing the key, because the key will directly go to the real machine, and real machine will go into Alt Control Delete mode. So the password I have given, and now the machine is ready. Now machine is running here, machine is ready, and it is already running. So what we can do here, we can do add the hot add feature we can use. Now for that, first we have to make sure the machine is generation 2. If it is not a generation 2, then it will be difficult for us to increase or add the memory, or add or remove the RAM, add or remove the network adapter. and now this machine is ready. So you go here in the local server. So what we see here is this, the information about this virtual machine, and we can see how many RAM it has. It has a 2 GB RAM, almost 2 GB RAM it has. It is just more than 2 GB. It is actually 1 GB. Because of the dynamic RAM, it is showing 1.9 GB, 19 GB, but it is actually, I think, 1 GB RAM. And then there is one adapter there, only one adapter. We can see there is only one network adapter, and there is what, 1 GB, I think, RAM. So there is only one network adapter, and the RAM is 1 GB. So we try to add the extra RAM, or we try to add the network adapter. So for that, what I will do, I will minimize this, and this is the setting for the virtual machine. So I will go to setting to increase hot add something. Now under the setting, we have the RAM memory option here. So it is what? It is 1 GB actually. The RAM is given 1 GB, and we can increase it, but actually the problem here is that dynamic. It is a dynamic memory. You see here, when I started the machine, when I configured the machine, I selected dynamic memory. So if it is a dynamic memory, then you can't add memory unless the machine is in generation 2. The first thing, there is two options, generation 1 or generation 2. So if we select generation 1, so generation 1 is basically to support the backward compatibility. That means for the old versions of Hyper-V, and in old versions of Hyper-V there was no option to hot add these memory and adapters. So this option is not available if you are using generation 1 machine. Now to use or to have the option or have the feature, we have to have generation 2 machine. Now generation 2 machine also we can add memory, but we cannot remove memory, we cannot reduce memory, we can only add memory. That will be only when there is no dynamic memory. If the dynamic memory is enabled, now you can see we can't disable the dynamic memory, and we cannot change the memory here. We can't change the RAM memory here, and also we can't disable the dynamic memory. Now for disabling this, we have to shut down the machine, and then we can do that. Now when you shut down, then it will not call hot add. So because of that, when you have dynamic memory, so you can't add the memory. Now for the network adapter is here. So network adapters we can add. We can add network adapters, but for adding the network adapter, we have to go up, and we have to go for add hardware. And you can see here, these other options are not available, but network adapter option is available. That means what? We can add the network adapter here while the machine is running. This is what hot add. So we need generation 2 machine, that is what we are using. And also for memory, we can only increase the memory, but only when there is no dynamic memory enabled. If the memory dynamic enabled, if it is not the dynamic memory is enabled, then we can't increase the memory even it is generation 2. But for network adapter, we can add and remove also. So I will try to add this, and it has been added. Now you can see this is the network adapter 1, and this is network adapter 2, and I will select this adapter to connect how I want to use it. So I want to use it to this network adapter with this virtual switch, that is external. That means I want to connect it to the virtual real environment also. We can enable the VLAN information, VLAN configuration also. We can enable the bandwidth management also. We can manage the bandwidth, like how much speed I want to give to this particular adapter, minimum maximum bandwidth. Okay, now I will press OK for this. And now when we check our virtual machine, and I will refresh this, Now we can see after refreshing there are two network adapters it is showing, and you saw that we have not shut down the system. So when we don't shut down the system, so it is called hot add. So this is the new feature we have, and this is the new feature we have in Server 2016 Server Hyper-V. So this is called hot adding feature of Hyper-V. Then we have shielded virtual machines here. A shielded virtual machine is protected from anyone with access to the Hyper-V host. So a shielded machine is what? It is protected from anyone with access to the Hyper-V host. That means it is protect the anyone from accessing the host through the virtual machine. Now remember, virtual machine is a guest and it is installed into the host machine, that is physical machine. So if suppose someone is getting the access of the virtual machine, so through that virtual machine they are not able to access the real host. Then a generation 2 virtual machine with a virtual TPM. Now in generation 2 virtual machine we have the virtual TPM also. Now TPM means what? It is trusted platform module. This is used to do the BitLocker. It is used to do the BitLocker, to store the BitLocker key. So if we create the generation 2 machine, so we can have a virtual TPM also, where we can use the BitLocker and it will be protected by BitLocker. So we can use the BitLocker and we can use the TPM feature also, and it will be virtual. Then host guardian service has to attestation mode. Now host guardian feature service is also there, which is hosting the guarding the host that is hosting the virtual machines. Admin trusted as attestation and TPM trusted attestation. These are the two modes it has. Like it is admin trusted attestation to attach the to host the guard the host, and then TPM trusted, like it will install the certificate on the TPM chip to protect our virtual machine or real machine or physical host. Then we have virtual settings, virtual machine settings. Now virtual machine settings, we have integration services allow virtual machine to access Hyper-V services. So in virtual machine settings, where you will see the virtual machine settings. So this is our virtual machine, and to get the setting for the virtual machine, we can go to minimize this, and then this is our virtual machine. So first we have to select the virtual machine, then we will see all these options, and here we have a setting. So this is our virtual machine setting, and in that we have this integration services. This is the integration services we have. And what that integration service do, it allows the virtual machines to access Hyper-V services. So those are Hyper-V services we have, and through this we can access the virtual machines, can access the Hyper-V services. And these are the services like operating system shutdown, time synchronization, data exchange, heartbeat, backup with the volume shadow copy, also some guest services. Then under the virtual machine settings, we have smart paging that allow the disk to be used temporarily during virtual machine startup when it is highly needed. So it is allowed to use the hard disk when temporarily during the virtual machine startup. Like if the virtual machine is heavily used and it is having time to start up, it is taking the time to start, so it will use the paging memory to start up the machine when it is highly needed. Then resource metering monitors resource usage of virtual machine for planning. So resource metering also there, which shows you that how the machine and what the machine is using and how much resources it is using. So we can plan that which virtual machine need more resources and which machine does not need that much resources. Then discrete device assignment, we have this discrete device assignment. This allows the direct access to the PCI devices of the host. So it will directly allow the virtual machine to access the PCI slot devices directly from the real host. Then for Linux and FreeBSD generation 2 virtual machines can use the secure boot also. That means it can secure the booting of these Linux machines, Linux and Unix machines also. So these are the settings of this virtual machine. Like we have the paging option here, smart paging. So smart paging, it is going to use under the same configuration directory. So it is going to create a file there for using the smart paging file to help the machine to start quickly. And then we can remove the adapter also. We have added the adapter, so we can remove the adapter also. So this is the virtual machine setting, starting from adding devices. Then for the firmware, where we can decide the booting order for the machine. Then for the security boot, this is for the securing the boot. So this option now is available for Linux machines also. It was only available for the Windows machine, now it is available for Linux machine also. And we have the option to shielding here. So this we can do it only when the machine is shut down. So by default it is enable the secure boot. We can enable or disable also. We can use the encryption support for the TPM also. We can use the TPM. Then we can use the shielding machine. We can shield the machine also. Then we have the memory option. Memory option, here we can decide the memory, how much memory we want. Then we can decide the dynamic memory if you want. If you don't want, so it will be static. That means it will use only the amount of memory we mention here. But dynamic means it will start from this and it can go up to this if it is required. And it will use the buffer area of at least 20%. And the weightage will be the equal, not less and not more than, or not more and not less. This specifies the how priorities the availability of memory for this virtual machine compared to other virtual machine on this computer. That means if suppose we have 3 virtual machines, so we can decide that which virtual machine will get more memory, because it is getting dynamic. So we can decide that which machine get more priority and which machine get less priority. Now this is the processor options here, processor features. Then in this SCSI controller, we have option for the hard disk we have connected in the first SCSI controller. This is the location of the hard disk. We can add new hard disk. We can edit the hard disk. Edit means we can change the format of the hard disk. We can change the size. We can expand the hard disk. We can change the format of the hard disk also. And we can check the hard disk status also. Right now it is using 10 GB space. Then if it is missing sometime, so we can browse to select the other hard disk also. Then the other controller, we have added this DVD drive where we have added the ISO image. Then we have added one network adapter with the external card, external virtual switch we have added. We have not added any VLAN tagging. So VLAN tagging is not there. We can manage the bandwidth also. We have not done it. And down there we have the option to manage the name, change the name and description, integrated services we want. And then checkpoint options are there, paging option, smart startup, automatic startup and automatic shutdown. Automatic start action, that means when the physical machine restarts, so what to do with this virtual machine. Nothing means it will do nothing. And option which is selected, it says automatically start if it was running when the service is stopped. So when the physical machine was shut down, if the virtual machine was running, so it will keep running after starting the physical machine. Or if the virtual machine was stopped, so it will stop after starting the physical machine. Or we can also decide the delay also. We can select this, always start this virtual machine automatically, and we can decide the delay also. so that we can decide that which virtual machine will start first, which machine will start second, third and fourth. And the same is for the automatic stop. So when the machine, physical machine shut down, so what it do, save the virtual machine state and shut down, or turn off the virtual machine or shut down the guest operating system. So this is the setting for our virtual machine. We have removed one network adapter from there. Now what is the best practice for configuring the virtual machine? First, use dynamic memory unless an application does not support it. That means always use the dynamic memory unless the application does not support it. That means the applications which we are installing in the virtual machine, if suppose the application does not support sudden change in the memory, like remember, the memory will automatically increase and also decrease. So if some application, if the application does not support it, like application wants the static memory, applications which is we are installing into the virtual machine is needed the static memory, so in that case we have to use the static memory. But the dynamic memory is very good, it is a good feature, so always try to use the dynamic memory. So it do what, whenever it needed, it will increase the RAM. Then avoid using the differentiating disk. Now differentiating disk, I will show you what it is. Differentiating disk is actually we create a virtual machine disk inside another virtual machine disk. For example, we create a virtual disk of the virtual machine inside another virtual disk. That is called differentiating disk. So we create a virtual machine's virtual disk inside another virtual disk. That is called differentiating disk. So avoid using it because it makes your virtual machine slow. Configure multiple synthetic network adapters. Then configure multiple network adapters so that you will always have a network connectivity, you will not lose. Then store each virtual machine's files on a separate volume. That is also will be the good. That means one virtual machine files will store into one volume, one partition, other will be stored into other volume, other partition. That will be very good. So this is the best practice for creating or configuring the virtual machine. Now managing virtual machines. Managing virtual machine states, that means virtual machine states define what resources are being used. So we have off state, starting, running, paused and saved state. So these are the different states we have, and these states decides that how much resources it is going to be used by the virtual machines. So right now the virtual machine is running. So it is using the resources whatever available, like whatever the maximum resources it can get. So it is using the resources, it is using the processor, it is using the RAM, because right now it is what? It is in use. Now when it is off, that means it will not use anything, but we have different states like this save. So when you save it, so it will do what? It will save the current status and it will go like it is shut down. So it looks like it goes like a shutdown, but it will still save the resources. So currently how many resources they will use while it is running, it will use the same resources. It will still use the same resources. It will pause there, then we can use this pause. Now pause means what? It will pause the virtual machine with the current status and it will not use any resources, but when we restart, it will start using the resources again. Now we have these options available also, shut down and turn off and shut down. These two options are also there. Now shut down and turn off, there is a small difference between this. Shut down means it will normally shut down the virtual machine like we do shut down the machines like this. We go to start and what we do, we select this and then we press on shutdown. So when we do this, so that shutdown, this shutdown is actually same. But turn off means what? It is turn off, that means we are turning off the machine directly from the power switch. So this shutdown means what? It is like doing the shutdown like here. And this shutdown means shutting down the machine directly from the power. And these options are also available here under this window, and also it is available under this Hyper-V window. Then we have checkpoints. Now managing the checkpoints. Now checkpoints do what? It allow the administrator to make a snapshot of a virtual machine at a particular point in a time. Now checkpoint do not replace backups. Remember, it is not a backup. It is just a checkpoint. And checkpoint, it is standard checkpoints create differencing disk, that is .avhd files, which merge back into the previous checkpoint when the checkpoint is deleted. And production checkpoints are created by using VSS and require starting from an offline state. Now this is what we have: two types of checkpoints there. We have two options for creating the checkpoints. We have a standard checkpoint, and also we have production checkpoint. Now standard checkpoint do what? It will create the differencing disk. Differencing disk with the extension of .avhd. It is .avhd files, and which merge back into the previous checkpoint when the checkpoint is deleted. Now if suppose I create three checkpoints, 1, 2, 3. So it create the differentiating disk and add that checkpoints into this. Use the differentiation disk, create the differentiation disk to create the checkpoints, 3 checkpoints, 1, 2, 3. Now when I delete the third one, so it will go back to merge it into checkpoint number 2. The file which is having a checkpoint number 2, it will go back to merge it. So it will merge the back into the previous checkpoint when the checkpoint is deleted. Then the production checkpoints are created by using VSS. VSS is volume shadow copy service. Volume shadow copy service is to take the backups in Windows Server and Windows operating system. Nowadays in Windows machine, if you want to take the backups, it uses this volume shadow copy services. So production checkpoints create by using the volume shadow copy services and require the starting from an offline state. So it will start from the offline state. It requires the virtual machine to go for the offline state. Then we can start, and it will take a whole backup. It will like a backup, but the checkpoint, the standard checkpoint is just a differentiating disk. Now to create the checkpoint or manage the checkpoint, first we have to configure the checkpoint here. What checkpoint do we want to take? We want to take the production checkpoint, or we want to take the standard checkpoint. So we have to decide first that, then we can take the checkpoints. Or even if you don't want to take checkpoints, then we can disable the checkpoints from here. So for taking or not taking the checkpoint option, you will get from this first in the setting. In the setting we have this checkpoint option here. Here we can decide that what type of checkpoint we want, or even if we don't want, we can just disable it. Now what type of checkpoint we want? Production or standard? By default it is selected production, and it do what? It use the backup technology in the guest operating system to create data consistent checkpoint that don't include information about running application. So it will not include the information about the running application. So even when we take the checkpoint while the machine was running, still it will not take any running state. It will just start the virtual machine fresh, like it will start from the beginning, like it will go for the shutdown state. It will take the backup, it will take the checkpoint as a shutdown state. So when we go back to that checkpoint, so machine will go back to shutdown state, and then it will start again. But it will take everything. It will take every state, like it will take all the settings, configurations, applications, everything. It will take the snapshot of everything, but only it will not take the running application information. Like if some application is running while we take the checkpoint, so it will not take that running information. It will take that as a shutdown state. Then create a standard checkpoint if it is not possible to create production checkpoint. Now in case if it is not possible for some time, it is not possible to take the production checkpoint, then automatically it will do what? It will create the standard checkpoint, and that is what it is selected here. Now standard checkpoints means what? It creates the application's consistent checkpoint that captures the current state of application, and it will take the current status also, like while the applications was running, so it will take it as a running, and when we go back to the checkpoint, it will show that it will go back to the running application. It will go and show the running application also. The application was running, so it will run. And where it is going to save, so it is going to save it here in this location. Now I want to take the production checkpoint first, so what I will do, I don't want to take a standard, so I will remove this. So if it is possible to take the production, then only take the production, don't go for standard. Now I want to take the checkpoint. So for checkpoint, taking the checkpoint, we can take it from here, from this window, from here, or from Hyper-V Manager, we can take it from here. So I will select to take the checkpoint, and here, if you can see here, it is creating the checkpoint. So it is creating the checkpoint, it is taking a little time, and done. Now it is saying that the production checkpoint is created. It has been used, the backup technology in the guest operating system was used to create the production checkpoint, and it is saying the same thing, that it is not taking the running information. Now we have one checkpoint available, we have one checkpoint taken, and we can see the checkpoint here under this checkpoint tab. So when you open this, we can see there is checkpoint here. So this is the checkpoint, production checkpoint, and this is what? This is the current status, and current status is running. And while we took this checkpoint, our machine was running. Now what I will do, I will change some information in our machine, like I will configure IP address. I don't have application, so I will just configure the IP address here. So I'm doing what? I'm just configuring the IP address here. I'm not installing any application, but it will take the backup checkpoint of applications also. And what I will do here next, I will disable the firewall. Firewall is on, so I will disable the firewall also. Okay, so I disabled the firewall and I configured the IP address here. So what we have done here, we have made changes here, that we disabled the firewall, and also we have configured the IP address. And if suppose we have installed some application, so if it was not there in the checkpoint, then it will go, and if it is there in the checkpoint, then it will come back. Now what, the machine is running right now, and when we took the checkpoint, it was still running. Now we'll go back to the checkpoint, previous checkpoint. So if we want to go back to the previous checkpoint, we have this option available here. It says revert. So revert means it will go back to the previous checkpoint, whatever the checkpoint we have. Now if we have multiple checkpoints, then what, we can go to this checkpoint tab here, and then we can select which checkpoint we want to go back. Because if you have multiple checkpoints, when you do revert only, so it will do what, it will only take you back to the previous checkpoints. So if you select revert, then it will only take you to the take you back to only the previous checkpoint. Now I will go to this one, I will select this, and I will say apply. Now it says, are you sure you want to apply the selected checkpoint, or you want to create the checkpoint and apply? That means you want to create another checkpoint and then apply this checkpoint. No, I just want to apply this. And now it is that it is doing what, it is saving here the current status, and then it goes back to the checkpoint. Now you see it is off, the current status is now off, the machine is not running, because the checkpoint which we took is actually production checkpoint. So what production checkpoint says, that it cannot use the running status. So if the machine was running, still it will take the checkpoint as a off state, and we have to start the machine now. Now it will take everything, but it will not take the running state. So if any application was running that at the time of taking the checkpoint, it will not be available, it will removed. Application will be there, but the running status will not be there. That means if you have configured something, or if you are working on something, so if you have not saved the thing, then that will be removed. Now we need to start this, and after starting we can see that whatever the changes we have did, like we have configured the IP address, or we disable the firewall, those things will be removed. It will go back to the previous state. I will connect this, and now it is starting. Okay, it is started now. Provide the password. Okay, to go into full screen mode and to come out of that full screen mode, we can do from here, view, and you can see the option is Control Alt Break. So for going into or coming out of full screen mode, we have Control Alt plus break key. So if we have Control Alt break key available, then we can, this break key is mostly not available in the laptops, but it is available on desktop machines. So if it is available, then we can use this Control Alt break key to go into the full screen mode and then come out of the full screen mode. And now it is started, and now you can see the firewall is on, and also this IP address is removed. It was gone back to DHCP. So actually it changed that state, the previous state. Now even if we have installed the application, so that application will keep it will be there if it is available in the checkpoint. So this is the two type of checkpoints we have. Standard checkpoint, that means it will keep the running status. So it will keep running if the application is running, so it will keep running. So when we switch back to the previous checkpoint, so it will keep the machine running, it will keep the applications running, everything will be running. But the production checkpoint does not do that, and it also don't use the differentiating disk. And remember, the best practice for the virtual machine is that don't use the differentiating disk. So it is a good idea to use the production checkpoint instead of using the standard checkpoint, and that is why by default it is selected the production checkpoint. Now next is this nested virtualization. This nested virtualization was also not available in previous versions, but now in Server 2016 we have the option to do this nested virtualization. Now what nested virtualization is? It actually enables the Hyper-V guest virtual machine to also be a Hyper-V host. That means in the virtual machine of Hyper-V, we can create a Hyper-V, we can install the Hyper-V services, and also we can create a virtual machine inside the virtual machine of the Hyper-V. Now what that mean actually, and why we need this? So what that means is, like, this is our physical machine. This is our physical machine. And in that physical machine we install Hyper-V Hyper-V services, and then what we do, we create one virtual machine inside our physical machine. Now this machine is virtual. Now inside this virtual machine we install the Windows Server operating system, and what we do, we want to install Hyper-V inside this virtual machine, and we want to create new virtual machine inside virtual machine. That means this virtual machine itself is a virtual machine, and in this virtual machine we want to create another virtual machine. And this is what it is called nested virtualization. That means we can create virtual machine inside virtual machine. Now it was not available in Windows, it was available in other virtualization platforms. It was available in other virtualization platforms such as VMware. So it was available, but here in Hyper-V it was not available. So now in 2016 it is now available. Now why it is required and why they have given this option here? Now for example, see what happens. Suppose this is a virtualization hosting site. Suppose we are using the virtualization hosting here, and what we are doing, we are the company of virtualization hosting, and we are hosting the virtual machines for other companies or other organizations. Now suppose one organization is here and they want to get virtual machine here. So we create virtual machine and we provide this virtual machine to this particular organization. Now they are poor and they just want they just have a money to have only one virtual machine, one server, but actually they require two. The requirement for this company is two servers, but they have money for only one server. Now what they do, they install Server 2016 in this virtual machine of their, which is they are getting from us. Now they want to install Hyper-V in this virtual machine, and they want to create two virtual machine for themselves, so that they can use two servers, two virtual servers inside one server. Now previously they can't do that because this is itself a virtual machine, and in this virtual machine it was not allowed to create another virtual machines. In that case what they have to do, they have to purchase a physical server there to get two virtual machines. So instead of this virtual machine from the hosting site, they don't use this, they use the physical server for it, because they are having no option. Otherwise they go for other virtualization solutions, like they can go for VMware or something else, because the Hyper-V is not giving them an option to create virtual machine inside their server, virtual server. Now because of that, now Hyper-V is also giving the option to create a nested virtual machines. So inside the virtual machine we can create another virtual machine, and it is helpful for the organizations. They want to have two servers in a price of one server. So it is just a cost-effective thing for the organizations. So now we have available this option with some conditions. That means it is having some requirements. First, it is useful for development and test servers. So why these organizations wants to have these virtual servers inside their own virtual servers? Because they want to just do some development for testing purpose. They want, in any case, they just want a virtual machine inside their virtual server, because they just want to test some application, they just want to do some development for their application. They don't want to do it on the real machine, so they just want to do it on the virtual machine. But the problem was they are getting the virtual machine itself. So now what we have the option to create the nested virtualization. Inside the virtual machine we can create a virtual machine. Now what is the requirement here? First, at least we should have 4 GB of static memory. So first we should have the 4 GB of static memory. Then Windows Server 2016 or Windows 10 also work. In Windows 10 also we can use this. So if the hosting operating system is Windows 10 or 2016, we can do this. Then Hyper-V host and guest. Hyper-V host and guest operating a virtual machine running Hyper-V must be the same build. That means their update must be same. The host and the guest that running the virtual machine must be same update version. Then some features are not available in the guest virtual machine running Hyper-V. So when we create the nested virtualization, so some of the options of Hyper-V will not be available because it is inside a virtual machine. Now this is our virtual machine which we have created under this Hyper-V. Now can we do that here in this virtual machine? So let's say I will try to add the role of Hyper-V here in this virtual machine of Hyper-V. So if the role is installed, that means we can create and install virtual machine, create virtual machines. And if the role is not installed, if it is giving error, that means we can't do that. So let's try this. I will say add and remove roles and features. And I want to install Hyper-V role here. So I will go next, next, next. And I say I want to install Hyper-V role. And we got the error. Now we got the error because this is a virtual machine. It is saying here Hyper-V cannot be installed. The processor does not have required virtualization capabilities. So first, the processor itself, it is not having the capabilities, it is saying. And actually we have not fulfilled the other options also. So it is not installing here because it is not fulfilling the requirements. So first we have to fix the requirement, and we have to do what? We have to enable the capability of virtualization in the processor. So we have to change the configuration under the processor also, and that we can do only from PowerShell. So advanced management, it comes under the advanced management of Hyper-V machines. So Hyper-V virtual machine, and that we can do it from PowerShell because directly option is not available. So first I will do what? I will shut down this machine. Now I will change the setting first. So I will go here under the settings, and first if you go to the processor here, so under the processor we don't have that option here, but we can enable the option from command prompt from PowerShell. So we'll go to the PowerShell and we'll make some changes there. So I will start the PowerShell as an administrator. And what we have to do? We have to do this. We have to enable the virtualization extension first. And for doing that, we have the option set VM processor virtual machine name. We have to mention the name for the virtual machine. Then we have to expose the virtualization extension command option with this. So this will do what? It will enable the virtualization feature under the virtual machine, under the virtual machine processor. Then we can disable the dynamic RAM. Dynamic RAM is not supported, so we have to disable the dynamic RAM. We can do it from the PowerShell also, and we can do it from the virtual machine setting also. We can do it from PowerShell by running the set VM memory name name of the virtual machine and disable the dynamic memory feature, set it false. Then also one more option for the MAC address spoofing also we have to disable, and this we have to disable it from the network adapter setting. We can do it from the network adapter setting from the Hyper-V virtual machine setting, or we can do it from the PowerShell command also by using this set VM network adapter and the virtual machine name and then MAC address spoofing option on. So we have to enable this option also. Now these two things, disabling the memory, dynamic memory, and enabling the MAC address spoofing, we can do it graphically also, but this command this is not available in the processor setting, so we have to do it from the PowerShell. So first I will do this. I will enable the features a virtualization extension there. First I will say get VM processor. So we have to mention the VM name also. VM name. So VM name is VM1, and we can see this is the processor setting. It is not showing detail, so I will go to full, and this is showing now the full options. In the full options we see this expose virtualization feature is false. So this feature we have to enable and we have to set it as a true. So for setting it as a true, I will run set VM processor and the VM name, which is VM1, and then expose virtualization extension, and the variable I will mention true. Now when you check, so now it is saying that virtualization extension is now true. Now we have to disable the dynamic memory. So for that we can run command set VM memory for the virtual machine name VM1, and we have to set the dynamic RAM. So we have to set the dynamic memory enable to false. Now we can do this from here also, from virtual machine setting. We can go to memory and we can disable this dynamic memory. So we can do this from here also, or we can do it from the PowerShell also. So I did it from PowerShell, and we can check here. I will open it again. And we can see the dynamic memory is disabled. Next we have to enable the MAC address spoofing option. So for that option will be available here under this network adapter. When we drop this, we will go to advanced features, and under the advanced feature we have this option, enable the MAC address spoofing option. So this we can do it from here, or we can do it from PowerShell. VM name is VM1, and MAC address spoofing we can set it on. Now it is on. We can verify from here. We have to restart it again. So I'll go to setting again, network adapter, advanced features, and we can see it is enabled here. So these options are now enabled, and the RAM is 1 GB, it must at least it will be 4 GB for having the one virtual machine. For creating at least one virtual machine, it must be 4 GB RAM. So we have to mention the 4 GB RAM here, static memory, but I can do it here because I am not having a real machine memory. So I'll do what? I'll go with 1 GB. I will start the virtual machine now. Now I will do what? I will install the Hyper-V role, and if it is successfully installed, that means we can create virtual machine, and that means what? We can do the nested virtualization. So let's see. Previously it was giving error saying there is no option, the processor is not supporting for the virtualization. Now what? I will try now. Okay, now it is available. I will go. We have configured it. Now I will go and try to install again that Hyper-V role. So next, and from the roles I want to install Hyper-V role, add the features, and you can see it is not giving any error. That means now we can successfully install this Hyper-V role in this virtual machine, and when we install the Hyper-V role, that means we can create the virtual machine also. So I'll go on to install it just like we did it for the real machine. And it is now installing it. So this is how we do nested virtualization, and that is also the new feature we have in Windows Server 2016. It was not available in previous version, so we can do this nested virtualization, and also we can do it on Windows 10 machine and Windows 10 64-bit, because in Windows 10 32-bit we don't have Hyper-V. Hyper-V, client Hyper-V is only available in Windows 10 64-bit version.